what's the point is, wow, between now and PhD, is there anybody in the room, if your life depended on it, if you really had to, could not build 3 new Leaders Club teams for that event? 3 new Leaders Club teams for that event, okay? If you've got none, that's 3. It's 3 more than you got, that's okay. And we'll explain that in a second. But the point being, every single time you want to add, you know, an extra $500 in your pocket. Now we've got teams that honestly, like the smallest, most strange one, has a couple of people in it, and it's done 6% like non-stop for like 25 years. If you work it out, it's ridiculous amount of money, and it's like having a massive term deposit that you're getting paid on, and there's nothing we can do to make that team bigger, apparently. We've also got another team, which strangely, somebody just came awake and has been dead for 10 years, but we set up a large number of teams. It's been dead, well, 10 years exaggeration, probably 8 years it's been dead. And some guy comes out of the blue in that team, ends up, you know, just with phone counselling, he ends up taking 2 people to the weekend in Newcastle. We're catching up with him tomorrow in Sydney. And you know, that team though has sat on 12% for 8 years. Yeah, it was bigger than that before. It dropped back down to 12%, like boo-hoo. It's a lot of money. Like, it's a lot of money. So, yeah, this is an amazing business. But if you ever meet someone who, yeah, I was in Amway, I didn't make money. Remember the one example I gave you? You make like 164 and you got a big team under you. Okay, our upline quit pretty early, but his upline quit when we were double diamond. We were double diamond and he non-renewed. Now, if you bumped into him, he would say he didn't make any money out of Amway, and it'd be reasonably accurate. But he had one team, which was pretty okay, last time I checked. So, you know, like, just the more you understand this business, the more you just cannot go, man, this is unbelievable. It is the most amazing thing ever. Because everywhere I look, I see big, we're just talking about one today, just a couple of doors down from our beach house, a guy that, you know, had a new car every year and all this stuff, and he's practically homeless now. He was in finance, and I just look at these, you know, successful people and what's happened to them. It's a nightmare. Like, it's a complete and utter nightmare. Anyway, you're in a good spot. Now, I'm sure you got lots of questions, and we got probably 3 minutes. Whoa. Now you got to memorise this. Okay, I want to make the, there's. You know, well, for 20 years the whiteboard was actually over there. So here's the point, okay? Here's the point. Life ends at PhD, all right? You got 24 weeks between here and PhD. You got 24 weeks to set this up, to set your structure up. And so I only want to make a couple of little points around this so that we actually can get on with what we want. Here's my point, is you ought to have a drawing like this. Okay? Now, I personally use a monthly planner like this, a month at a glance. So I've got a normal diary, like a hard copy diary. If you're using only electronic, then enjoy your life as it is. My experience is you got Buckley's chance of making this thing work big time. Honestly, I've never found anyone who can think clearly, like 3 years out like we drew out, just with like electronic. Oh, it's so convenient to drop the dates in there and, okay, great. You know what? Stopping and thinking and planning is not convenient, but getting rich and free is also not convenient, but damn good idea, okay? And you know, you just stop like kind of half-assing this thing, honestly. Just decide, personally, I just think something like this, which is at 1 month at a glance, and you can fill in the whole year. And so that's available to me anytime, and I can plan. And what do you plan? What you plan is not the next 49 years, and I just want to get across that PhD is really, really important. So if you haven't got Leaders Club done yet, you get it done for here. You've got an opportunity to get Leaders Club done perhaps this month. perhaps still in February to get it done, okay? People have done stranger things than that. We've had people go Leaders Club in 2 days. Could you get it done this month? Maybe. Check up line. Is it appropriate for you to really have a push and get out of your comfort zone? But certainly you can get it done in March. The challenge with just leaving it till March is you may not bring someone with you, but you could go Leaders Club and break a Leaders Club, okay? And Leaders Club is nothing. It's like 15 people, you know, set up like that. It's 15 people. It's nothing. It's a decision to make with your upline. We're going to have Joe Undari here as a guest speaker. I mean, you go into a leaders meeting with Joe Undari, you come out a different person. Joe doesn't actually know it yet, but we'll give him an offer too good to refuse. So when he comes, it'll be great, hey? So, and these BDSs here, everything is a tool to you getting your structure at PhD. I'm going to have 3 teams at PhD. I'm going to have 3 teams. Write out an affirmation. It's August the 11th, the function's starting. I'm at PhD with 3 teams. I'm pumped. I'm going 21% September. That's your affirmation. Read that every single day. Read it every single day. Read it 3 times a day, all right? Now, you want things to work for you, then you stack the odds in your favour. And people just simply do not do these things and fail. It's not possible. So you write down an affirmation like that. I'm at PhD. Awesome, great. This is how it feels. I've got my 3 Leaders Clubs with me. Right now, you may not even have written out your list properly. You may not have even mastered the plan properly. You know, your upline dragged in here, whatever. But the point is, and if you've been in this business for 10 years, you need to get your thinking straight too about what are you doing. Your whole next year depends on what your structure looks like here. You just can't get away from that. It's just the law, okay? So each BDS, how many teams will you have there? Each business preview, how many teams will you have there? And how many people in the team? And it's not like you're not trying. It's just like maybe you're trying too many things and you're not getting the right things right. Okay? So it's just tomorrow, Expo. What are you going to do about it? I know it's a pretty convenient thing to invite people to because they can drop in, drop out anytime. It's not like a function like be there, 7:15 for 7:30, okay? Got it? It's not. It's like drive past with your kids, drop in and have a meet, meet an upline, all that sort of stuff. What could you do with that? And I'll come back to the burst concept in a second. But you've got a week to do this BDS, okay? What are you going to do towards that BDS? So it's great having all this and looking at the 22-foot half pipe and getting a dream you're going to be a great snowboarder one day. But the next week is where it all counts. What are you going to do the next week? Okay, so literally there's tomorrow, Sunday, which is Expo, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Will you talk to Tara soon? Okay, yeah, maybe text her in 5 minutes or we might do that first because it's a bit later there. So here's the BDS. So just, at some point for you to plan everything like that and take advantage of the things coming up, at some point to go, how am I going to use this week effectively into this function? What am I going to do? There's a Tuesday night business preview, obviously. And I think one of the questions was, getting more effective at the business preview. We'll definitely talk about that. There's Wednesday night on the Gold Coast. I'll talk about that perhaps later, just how distance works. Obviously, Thursday night, Friday morning, health meetings. But what are you going to do towards tomorrow? What are you going to do tonight? I mean, driving home tonight, prospect somebody tonight, somewhere. Anybody working on a Saturday night is not doing it for fun. Okay, they're not doing it to meet people, all right? So drop in any servo on the way home, meet someone in IT. That's who's usually working in a servo now. Tomorrow night, what are you going to do? I mean, if you really, 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 really believe this, wow, would you take a day off work and show 6 plans on Monday? Would you? I don't know. I don't know. I'll talk about the burst thing in a second and why that's important at some point. But at some point, you know, you just got to get out of your comfort zone and go, you know, it works. And there's a great audio by Mike Wilson called Change or Die. And he tells part of the story. I just read a book about a month ago which told the whole story, and it was interesting. It reminded me of the audio, and I went back to the audio. But here's the summary of it, okay? There's about 1.5 million people a year in the United States have heart bypass surgery, and which is not a good thing, okay? And they say to them, change your diet and exercise or you're going to die, which is the way doctors talk, okay? Like, no frills. And so these 2 years down the track, 90% of people did not change anything. So they choose to die rather than change. And you wonder why somebody, you know, doesn't want to do anything, or like, well, people are pretty messed up, okay? Okay, there's another big survey, big study done, which is what I read the whole thing on last month, with hundreds and hundreds of people, where after 3 years, 77% of people did change. So in this scenario, 10% changed. In the other scenario, 77% changed. You're curious what was the difference? The two big points in the second study, one was drastic measures. Because when you take small measures, like, oh, I think I'll show the plan tomorrow, maybe. When you take small measures, you just don't get the results, you don't see the results, you don't get any momentum, you don't feel good about continuing. It's like HealthPoint. HealthPoint works because within a couple of days, you feel something. Man, even if your weight's not going down, your stuff is falling off, things are working, something's happening, okay? So HealthPoint works because it's drastic. You could honestly, I long term, in 20 years, get the same results, just being eating super nice and exercising. The trouble is people are never going to do that. You've got to get a kickstart, you've got to make it work. And so when we talk about get out of your comfort zone, it's not even optional, it's just the way things work. Every single successful person has had this burst to get out of their comfort zone and make something work. And the other thing, so two big points. One was the burst, they put in a burst, and it got drastic results. In the case of that, it was a very drastic diet and quite a lot of exercise. Very, very severe diet, okay? And like really had to change everything. But the other thing was weekly accountability. They had a weekly accountability that they had to be part of, or don't start the program, okay? So it's fascinating, isn't it? Exactly how our business works. And whether you make the business preview Tuesday night, your weekly accountability, or you're thinking about measuring it, whether you're using the daily action sheet that was put out there and you use the bottom section which has got weekly goals, whatever you do, stack the odds in your favour. There's hundreds and hundreds of success-orientated points to make this work. Now, one of my observations is people perhaps getting confused on technology versus just grunt, okay? Like, oh, it's so convenient to send a WeChat to someone or send an SMS to someone, or, you know, whatever. When do you face-to-face people and when do you use technology? Now, I'll talk about the using technology, not using technology in more local scenarios, but where technology is good is for distance sponsoring, okay? Now, next weekend, for example, there's a weekend seminar in Perth, all right? It would take you 5 minutes to find someone who knows someone in Perth. And there's a weekend seminar on next weekend where Deidre and Tam are speaking and a bunch of other people, right? And if you, in this audience, if you've never been to a weekend seminar, then go to Perth next weekend. It's your first weekend seminar, go. Or if you sponsor someone this week, get them to Perth. Why not? The Perth people have come here 100 times. So just think about what you're trying to achieve here. But where you can actually show the plan now, we built distance groups from day one, from one audio that I listened to, which said your goal is to have, you sponsor someone and then have the leg go to different cities and then go into different states and then go into different countries. Because if you sponsor someone here and then they have an attitude attack, you don't want it just to stop and they affect their people. But if they got interstate people, then they don't affect those people. And then if they got, you know, wow, okay. So on that note, you know, I started to just do a lot of distance sponsoring. If you can drive 3 hours one way, that's a one-nighter. That's not distance sponsoring. I have people debating whether they should go to the Gold Coast or whether they should go to Sunshine Coast to show someone the plan. It's like, seriously, what planet are you from? Do you actually believe the lifestyle you can get from this thing? Like, wake up, okay? So showing the plan to somebody, I mean, I have people in Sydney that will Skype into a launch meeting on the other side of Sydney and justify it because of traffic. Yes, Sydney traffic is bad. However, that is ridiculous.